Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Mullner here. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Holiday Edition. We're taking you from Christmas to New Year's and the weather pattern beyond here for your winter storm outlook. The big storm we're going to be watching here over the next several days will be especially this weekend into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We got a big low pressure ejecting out of the Four Corners region here. We're going to be watching this system because this is going to become a powerful low pressure system, almost like a cutoff low. What aspects of this could bring a white Christmas for some, but not for many here? We'll take a look at all the details we have regarding who's going to get rain and snow as we head through New Year's as well. We'll see which areas get quiet for New Year's Eve. We'll take you from North America to the tropics and beyond. Let's get into it. All right, so we're starting off with the European model here. Let's see what we got going on. So we're starting off with what I showed you just momentarily. There's that energy moving into the Four Corners region as we head on Saturday the 23rd. But here is what I want to focus on initially. We got this little system here across the Ohio Valley. This could bring some light precipitation, mostly in the form of rain showers, maybe some wet snow mixed in on the northern side. We'll get into all the details on accumulations momentarily, but this is the piece of energy I want to focus on. Look what's going on. This is 7 p.m. on the 23rd. We got a lot of tropical moisture feeding into this. There's that area of low pressure here across Colorado. For you Canadians up here, what is going on? Well, look at that low pressure up here across just west of Hudson Bay here. As you can see, let me get that out of the way there. All right, so most of Canada is quiet. Look at the East Coast, high pressure continuing here. So what's going to happen with this system as we go in time? This is 4 a.m. Christmas Eve morning. You can see there's a lot of moisture here across Texas and across the Plain States. That's going to continue to funnel northward. You know, on the northwest side of these lows, you see that snowfall. So it's pretty good bet here in the northern plains, you're going to see those heavy snows. Now, take a look at the Gulf Coast. This area could see some severe weather. That's also another concern here. Let me just pan out so you can get kind of a bird's eye view here. There's that high pressure retreating off to the east. That's going to bring some mild conditions up. Here's 4 p.m. on, wow, we really skipped a lot here. Let's back that up. So right around Christmas Eve. So a lot of you that have plans, let's take right around, wow, it's really tough to get like a really good, there we go. Let's just go with 10 p.m. So there's that area of low pressure across northeast Texas. Texas is drying out by this time. And as you can see, this low winds up by 10 a.m. Christmas morning. So this is pushing quite a bit of moisture eastward here. There's that big low. It doesn't seem to be that deep, but it's surrounded by high pressure. So you know there's going to be a lot of wind with this, with these pressure gradients. And it's kind of starting to cut off here. You can start to see the steering currents. This thing's literally blocked in, so to speak. It doesn't really have anywhere to go. So as we continue to go in time, you know on the northwest side of this low, there's probably going to be enough cold air for some snowflakes. We'll get into the details on how much we could be looking at, but this becomes pretty much a cutoff low. This originally was going to be secondary low development along the East Coast. It still could happen. Here's this double barrel low hanging out across the northeast corner of the Great Lakes. But as we go in time, it seems to become a little bit more, blocky here. We don't see any exit strategy for this system to exit really cleanly here. So let's look at a timestamp on this. This is the 28th. So we're going to be dealing with this storm pretty much most of holiday week. We may have some wet snow on the backside of this low pressure system, but it's not looking very conducive for a heavy snowstorm at this point. But a lot can change. It's 190 hours out. You still see this area of trough of low pressure trailing behind it here. So there's not too much, big low pressure system behind this other than a trough that's helping to focus and maybe bring some lake enhanced precipitation here. And I'll get into that the moment with the GFS. But here's the 30th. There is an area of low pressure that does try to form off the U.S. East Coast. Canada is just crickets up here. That's kind of crazy. But there it is. A low does try to spin up for New Year's Eve here just off the coast. But so far, it looks like it's heading out to sea. All right, so here is our precipitation depiction here from the GFS. Let's get into it as we just scroll along in time here. There's that area of moisture across Texas that's going to be heading northeastward here into the Midwest and just north of the Ohio Valley. So this is 10 p.m. on Friday night. Look at that. Yeah, got some rain showers. So the GFS is going warmer this run. You can see that kind of heads up into the Great Lakes, Cleveland by 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. So we may have some moisture. Sorry to say here, if you have some outdoor Christmas or Winterfest plans here, look at this. Yeah, we could be getting into some rain showers mixed with some snow here in upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and the Ohio Valley. Then we get the bigger low pressure system. Let me just back that up here. There is that area of energy from Southern California heading up towards the Four Corners region. You know, a lot of mountain snow, but look how fast it's moving. Look at this. This is by 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve. There is a very thin stripe of snow on the backside of this from the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. But look at your rain all the way up to the Twin Cities here. Little Rock, Dallas. Thunderstorms. Got to watch out for some of these. Could get a little frisky. Some stronger thunderstorms potentially here from the Gulf Coast northward towards Arkansas here. But, you know, for the most part, a lot of the energy is going to be spent onto the north here. Now, we do get a burst of heavier snow, Topeka area, parts of northeast Kansas, southeastern Nebraska. Got to watch out for this 7 a.m. on Christmas morning. You might get a snow treat here. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Just for Christmas morning. That blossoms a little bit through 4 p.m. here Christmas Day. Look at that. Up towards western Iowa. So this low looks like it'll be strengthening here on the GFS. Now that's pushing, you can see there's a cold front up here into eastern Canada. That is attached to a massive low pressure system, a 980 millibar low up here in Hudson Bay. And as we go over here to the Pacific, we got a massive low pressure system here into the Gulf of Alaska. So high pressure retreating off the U.S. East Coast. That's spinning that massive warm air right into the northeast. I'm sorry to say it's going to be a very warm Christmas here for you, the East Coast. It just doesn't look like any chances of snow. Look at this as we head towards so look how, there we go. So December 26th here, 4 a.m., you can see the rainfall moving into the Ohio Valley, western New York, western Pennsylvania. We're still seeing snow back here on the backside of this, so we could see a prolonged period of snow here, especially in western Iowa. That continues to move north here with the low pressure. There is the GFS showing kind of a transfer of low pressure here towards the DC area. Still a lot of rain here the 27th. So, you know, the day after Christmas and 2 days after Christmas, you're going to be a rainy day up here into the northeast. That low pressure system continues to move northeastward here. Now, the fringes here on the backside could start to change to some wet snow. Look at this. This is that trough of low pressure that's attached to that low. We could see some snowflakes here, especially southeast of Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, the northern Adirondacks. So this is something we'll have to keep a very close eye on here. And then look at that. It moves to the northeast. It does leave a little piece of energy here in the Ohio Valley and the Appalachians, so you might get a little bit more snow. Here is kind of a weak Alberta-style clipper here. This is towards the 30th. Let me just zoom out here. Look at Florida, Texas. The Gulf Coast looks clear as a bell here going into the day before New Year's Eve. Look at that. Are we going to hold on to some nice weather here? Now, we do have an area of low pressure that was being picked up on the European as well. Big storm here moving on the west coast as well. So as we continue to go in time here, another area of low pressure spins up some lake enhancement southeast of the lakes. Let me just back this up to New Year's Eve here. So here we go, 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's looking very nice here. So with the exception up here in the northeast with this area of low pressure, you'll see some inland snow showers from New York City all the way down to Miami, New Orleans, all the way to Houston. You are looking good here. So if you have any New Year's Eve plans outside, it doesn't look too bad. So as we continue to go in time, there's another area of low pressure towards January 2nd here. And just momentarily, I'm going to show you the upper level pattern of what we could be looking at as we go into January. Things look like they might actually flip. So starting off with the European model here, and we'll transition towards the CFS medium range climate model. Look what's going on here. Yes, that raging inferno ridge continuing to build across the east for Christmas weekend here into Christmas Day. You can see Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, that massive ridge basically bringing those southerly winds, blocking any major storms, especially winter storms, from making into the northeast or the east coast. And look at that trough kicking to the east. That tries to make its way into the east coast region about the 28th. There isn't a lot of cold air to work with this system, hence why it just doesn't look like it's going to be a massive, concern for snowfall here, but it is interesting. Even by the 31st, it looks like it's trying to consolidate here across the East Coast. So let's pick it up here with the CFS model as we head towards the end of the month. There's that trough kicking in across the East Coast. Does it hang around? Well, it looks like it is. This is a big change from what we've seen the last couple months. You can see pinwheeling just trough after trough, and this is kind of building upon this as we head towards January 8th. And then look at this, the 10th and the 11th. We do start to see evidence of a ridge here, but look what's going on here across the Gulf Coast region. You got to watch this because even though you got a trough up here into parts of the eastern Canada and the Northeast, El Nino this time of year can bring some pretty potent low pressure systems. And look at that. Although it does kind of fizzle out there. So we'll have to keep an eye on. This is kind of a flip from the middle of month. Look at January, middle of January. We do start to get ridging again. But that's slowly replaced again by some troughs. So it looks like a very fast-moving pattern. So the first week of January, we might have the chance of some potential snowstorms, something to look forward to here. So let's take a look if there's any large-scale areas of cold air outbreaks here. You can see all the cold air is way bottled way up here into the Arctic Circle. The polar vortex is extremely strong. If you want snow across the lower 48, that's not really what you want to see. But if you don't like snow, this is great for you. Look at this. We do get some pieces that break off towards the 30th, but look at this holiday week. I'm going to be really honest with you here. It is a raging inferno for the most part, especially in the east. As we get into January, though, this is where we start to see a big intrusion. Look at this. Evidence that pieces of the polar vortex start to break off as it weakens. That's kind of what you want to see if you want snow here across especially the east. Look at this. There is a big intrusion by January 6th. So liquid equivalent precipitation here. Let's take a look at your total QPF. This is the European model taking a look. As we go through the weekend, you can see a generalized quarter. Of course, this thing keeps popping up. Quarter to half an inch here across parts of the southern Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, into parts of the Northeast. So it'll be mostly light. There's that surge across Texas. Look at that. 2 to 3 inches. Towards Houston, maybe 4 inches here. Southern California as well, the coastal sections down towards Los Angeles and San Diego, you could be getting upwards of 1 to 3 inches. And then as we head towards just after Christmas, Tuesday into Wednesday, look at that heavy rain blossoming across the east. I hate to say this. Yeah, you're not shoveling this, but some of these areas in the Northeast that have had flooding recently, that is not the best of news for you. So at least this is a lot lighter than it was the previous storms here. 1 to maybe 1.5 inches here. Gulf Coast area is the big winner. And look at this. Up here into parts of the Midwest, some of this could actually be snow. So let's take a look at those snowfall amounts here. So the Four Corners region, especially western Colorado here, picking up 1 to 2 feet, maybe 3 feet locally. There's the backside of that system from Kansas all the way up into the Dakotas here. The European is a little bit further west with this heavier band, and then across southeast Canada, maybe briefly clipping northern Maine here into northern New Brunswick. Got to keep an eye on that. That blossoms as we head towards next weekend. Look at that, Sunday the 31st, so New Year's Eve. Maybe some lake effect kicking in behind that low pressure system. Something we'll have to keep a close eye on here, these trends. So taking a look at the GFS snowfall here. There it is in the plains. It's actually not looking that impressive, but you can still see a solid 3 to 6, maybe 6 to 12 in some of these heavier bands. So that initial band going up through the plains and then on the backside of that cutoff low as we head through Christmas Day. And then into the Northeast, you can see some lake enhancement, but you know, it's right in that first week of January there. You see that prime area of lake enhanced snow here on the eastern end of the Great Lakes and piling up quite a bit of snow up here into Northeast Canada. This is something to keep an eye on. This is with that cold air surge. Look at this. Could we see a mid-southern snowstorm here from the plains over to Tennessee and maybe even North Carolina and Virginia? It's too early to get into that, but that is an interesting trend here on the GFS. So as we get up here into the Northeast, your liquid equivalent, that will just take you through Saturday, especially Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday here. Here we go. Look at this. So this stops it right here early, Monday morning. So the weekend, we're looking at about 1/4 to maybe upwards of a ½ inch here in western Ohio, a ¼ inch from Cleveland on to the I-81 corridor of New York and northeast Pennsylvania. Now, as the next system moves in just after Christmas, this is what we're looking at on top of all that. Yeah. Additional accumulations of rainfall, about an inch here. Oh, so your HRRR future radar here. What is going on? Well, there's that area of low pressure off of the Southern California coast. That's the energy we're going to be watching. Here as we head towards 2 a.m. on Friday morning, there is that initial shot of precipitation. It's all in the form of rain pretty much here on the HRRR future radar. That's moving up towards the Ohio Valley and southern Great Lakes as we head towards 2 p.m. There's that low pressure here. That's that key energy moving through Phoenix. Look at that heavy rain and thunder showers moving through. Look at up here into the Ohio Valley, knocking on the door to Cleveland, Toledo, and Columbus by evening and overnight hours. We may have some wet snowflakes mixed in on the eastern end of this. You can see heading towards through the Four Corners here. Look at that. You can see where the area of low pressure is. And on the northern side, particularly in the mountains, that's where we're going to see that heavy snow, really picking up a lot of snow so far this season. And look at that. As we head into the northeast just in time, 1 p.m., look what's going on. Got some wet snow out ahead of it, but this big batch of rain showers likely moving towards upstate New York into Pennsylvania as we head towards the evening of the 23rd. And here's our last frame. This is that energy that's going to be ejecting out into the plains and eventually forming that massive cutoff low. So for the tropics here, let's take a look. We are starting off with a little area of disturbance here south of Jamaica, heading towards Nicaragua. That spins westward towards Honduras and Belize here. You can see that area of low pressure. It's just a very weak low, but it's got some moisture with it. We also have the intertropical convergence zone kind of pushing into northern part of South America here. So yeah, for the most part, things are looking much quieter. However, you can see as we go through time here, the Gulf Coast, we have a low pressure system towards Christmas Day. But look at most of the Caribbean here towards Central America. It's not looking too bad. There's not too much in the area of inclement rain showers or thunderstorm activity. Until we get towards the 27th, you start to see this area of storminess here across southern Mexico, the Yucatan, over towards parts of Belize, down to Honduras and Nicaragua. We're going to have to watch out for increasing moisture here as we head in time. We got this area. Let me just spin over here for a second. This over here is a little area of low pressure that's just going to dance around kind of all over the place here. I don't think it's going to turn into anything tropical. I mean, it could. It's happened before this time of year. It would most likely be subtropical. But look how close this front's making it down into the Cayman Islands, all the way down to Honduras here. This tail end of this front kind of spinning up. Might see some heavy downpours from the Cayman Islands just west of Jamaica here towards December 30th. And watch, that front kind of just washes out as we get some light showers towards New Year's Eve for Jamaica. All right, so as we take a look at the tropics with the GFS model here, you can see the precipitation across the western part of the Caribbean there, heading towards Honduras. That kind of weakens. Here's we head towards Christmas Eve. Most of the Gulf here lighting up here with that big area of low pressure heading towards the northeast. But as we go in time here, there is not a whole lot to talk about until we get towards the 29th. We're pretty much agreeing here with the European model. Look at this area of moisture on the tail end of this frontal boundary. So it will be approaching areas of Belize down to Honduras and then eventually the Cayman Islands and Jamaica as we head towards the 30th into the 31st. But look at that. That kind of just washes out here towards January 3rd and the 4th. I want to make note here, with the exception for right around the 29th and 30th, look at the Bahamas. That moves through the Bahamas pretty quick in the 30th, and look at that. So Christmas in the Bahamas, how are you looking here? Not too bad. Most of that heavy rain moves just to your north there, 26th into the 27th, and look at that. Yeah, the 28th into the 29th, it moves through, but by the 30th and New Year's Eve there, it's looking nice in the Bahamas as well. The Lesser Antilles over to Puerto Rico, not looking too bad either as we head towards New Year's and beyond. So your Caribbean precipitation rainfall outlook, most of it occurring here initially this weekend. Parts of eastern Jamaica could get upwards of 50 to 90 millimeters, maybe an inch and a half, upwards of 2.5 inches. Eastern coast of Nicaragua and over to Honduras and Belize may get upwards of about 60 to 80 millimeters. That'll get you up into the 2.5, 3-inch range. But look at that as we go in time. There's that frontal boundary as we head towards the 30th and 31st. That'll bring up increasing moisture here from the Bahamas all the way down to Central America. And as we head over to the southern Bahamas, the Turks, Caicos, all the way down towards Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, yeah, you're going to be looking at the next couple days about 20 to 40 millimeters of rainfall here. And on the order of about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. There's the Lesser Antilles with a tropical wave moving through about Monday, getting upwards of about 40, 50 millimeters, about 1.5 inches on average here. And those northeast winds continue to push some moisture as we head throughout the week, nothing too terribly heavy. And then as we get into Sunday, the 31st, you can see some heavier rains here blossoming across parts of the southern Bahamas, maybe upwards of 50 millimeters, about 2 to 2.5 inches. Now, heading out to the Western Pacific here, what is going on, everybody out here? So, we got the Philippines here, Vietnam. Let's put this into motion. Let's see what we got going on here. With the exception for some, showers in the area, the Intertropical Convergence Zone is usually not very active this time of year. It's not your typhoon season up here in Japan either. You can get a spin up here around the Philippines over to Vietnam. It's happened before this time of year, but it's not prevalent. You can see as we head towards the 29th, we do start to get some active waves here. You can see them kind of lining up every so often here on the European run. And look at this. As we get towards the 30th into the 31st, there's not too much to talk about here. There's kind of the tail end of a front you can see towards Taiwan here. But other than that, the Philippines look pretty dry. And don't go anywhere. I just have more weather here in just a moment. Check out my affiliate here, these awesome maps. Have a look at this.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
Now let's get into your high temperatures here. For your Friday, TGIF, look at that. That's the only cold air, as well as the mountaintops of the Rocky Mountains, Cascades over here. That is, look at Texas here, Florida, well into the 70s as we head into your Saturday. Look what's going on here. We continue to have that surge of warmth here into the east. Can you really call this cold? I mean, it is getting a little cold out here, but it's usually a lot colder. We have the plains out here Saturday getting well up into the 50s here into the northern plains. Into Sunday, Christmas Eve, it is not going to feel like Christmas here. 55 in Cleveland, 52 in Rochester, 50 in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, even New York City as well. Look at this surge up here into the Carolinas into the 60s. And look at this into Monday. Yeah, you do start to see evidence of some colder air. I do question. The models were showing some snow up here, but it's going to be more of a heavy wet variety, and it's not going to really, it's going to have a hard time accumulating, especially on pavement. So even though the sun angle's low this time of year, unless this system can manufacture a lot of its own cold air, which is possible, especially immediately on the backside, it doesn't look like this is going to be, one of those big snowstorms to write home about. But I do still think some areas could see upwards of 6 to 8 inches. Look at this in Ohio. Almost to 60 degrees in eastern Ohio there, Christmas Day. And into Tuesday, it just moderates a bit. You can't really call that much of a cold front as this low pressure system just kind of cuts off here across the Midwest and eventually the Ohio Valley. Most areas into the mid to upper 40s. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Friday, sunny skies heading up towards the low 40s. It will be a cold start. Those normally colder valleys getting down into right around 15. Into Saturday, clouds roll in. Chance of rain showers after 1 p.m. Yeah, you could see upwards of a 1/4 inch. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And as well as Saturday night into Sunday before maybe pretty much fizzling out by Sunday afternoon. Still some clouds heading up towards the upper 40s for Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. Mid-50s. That's kind of crazy. Mostly cloudy skies into Tuesday as well. Rain showers move in, maybe upwards of 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, and link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.